after 2, and you're in time for Newsdesk. This is news as it happens. My name is Bulletin.
And my name is Edith Kimani. We are going to take you straight to what has happened this afternoon, but here's what else we have prepared for you. Interreligious service held after Westgate Mall attack that left the country in shock. Wilkis Tanyabwa is standing by and she'll bring us all the details in case you missed it. And bangled out a group of men calling for legislation of marijuana. I don't know if you remember, they professed this on camera, have been arraigned in court. And slow but steady, Kenya's economy grows by 4.3% in the second quarter. All this and more coming your way in just a short while.
Welcome back to the program, and what you've just been watching in the past hour or so was the interreligious prayer service in honor of the victims of the Westgate attack that happened just about a week ago, where we had, it was of course convened by the religious leaders from the different religious affiliations, and present was of course the President Uhuru Kenyatta, his deputy William Ruto. We also had notables like the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who was at that particular meeting, and we'll be crossing over to Wilkis Tanyabwa, who is at that particular prayer meeting, to just give us a blow-by-blow highlight of what exactly stood out in that particular prayer meeting. Wilkis Tanyabwa.
Good afternoon, Bonnie and Edith. Now we are coming to you live from the Kenyatta International Conference Center, where the interreligious prayer service has just come to an end. We did see religious leaders come together with members of the public and leaders from across the country to pray for those who lost their loved ones in the Westgate attack, to also pray for those who were injured and those who died in the attack. And we have seen religious leaders simply coming out to condemn the attack. We did see a section of leaders, including Ed Anwachu, who is a Muslim leader, coming out to say that this really cannot be attributed to religious beliefs, that this was the work of persons who could not really attribute their actions to their religious beliefs. This is something that the head of state, Uhuru Kenyatta, also came out and repeated in his own speech, together with the deputy president, also condemning those who committed the act, calling them evil people who could not hide behind the tag of their religious beliefs. Now, in this meeting, allow me to just go through some of the things that leaders have said. And we did see the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga coming out and just airing some of the issues that have emerged in the wake of the Westgate attack. He did speak about the importance of ensuring that we issue national identification in a proper way, ensuring that we do that would make it easy for persons who would do us harm to secure national identification. Also speaking about the importance, once we get security and once we get intelligence reports, the importance of acting on them. However, in the same breath, he went on to say that this was not the time for recriminations. It wasn't the time for the blame game. It was a time for the country to come together. And indeed, everyone who came here today came under the banner. The theme today was "We Are One," coming together to pray for the country and to also pray in order to that we may be able to foil future attempts at similar attacks. And these are some of the things that we have seen. We have also seen the head of state saying that it is important that Kenyans band together in the face of all attacks, and he goes on to speak about the guises that these attacks may come under, telling the country to band together and to stand strong. And these are some of the things we have seen. Leaders have now left It was a session that lasted only until a few minutes ago. Leaders have left, but they do hope that the sentiments that were expressed here do indeed extend to the rest of the country, and they do last further than this particular prayer service. Back to you, Edith and Bonnie.
Right, many thanks, Wilkis. And of course, in our subsequent bulletins, we will be analyzing the president's speech. And part of what stood out was that he said that Kenya's incursion into Somalia is not stopping anytime soon until there is sustained peace in that part of Africa. And so that's probably something that most likely will be picked, especially by foreign relation analysts and foreign media across board. And KTN will be on top of that story to bring you just an in-depth look at what exactly the president said. We will now move to Nyeri, where 4 men who claim to be followers of the Rastafarian culture and ardent users of bang were arrested minutes they arrived at the Nyeri law courts to bail out their colleague who had been arrested earlier. The 4 were allegedly found with 23 rolls of bang and were arraigned before the Nyeri resident magistrate Vincent Nyakundi. They denied the charges of being in possession of the banned substance.
The 4 had come to stand in solidarity with their fellow Rastafarian companion Kevin Mushemi, who had been arrested and has been appearing at the Nyeri law courts to answer charges related to bang use and possession. 4 of those who had allegedly come to pay Mushemi's bond, Stephen Mushira, Michael Kahombo, Alex Ngatia and John Maina Githaiga, were allegedly found with 23 rolls of bang near the Nyeri law courts. The 4 who were part of a larger group had earlier confessed in front of TV cameras a few weeks ago that they were ardent users of bang and had no apologies to make.
Mimi nimevuta bangi kutoka nikiwa miaka 10 na sasa niko na 29 years. Sijaisikia any sense ya kuwa timunda wazimu ndani yangu. Na niko hata na familia, I've got a wife na son, niko na wao.
They even went ahead to quote the scripture in an attempt to validate their habit.
Because of this sweet Sapphoa, God said, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake.
Hail Most High Jah, Rastafari, King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the conquering Lion, the tribe of Judah, elect of God, His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I.
The 4 appearing before Nyeri resident magistrate Vincent Nyakundi pleaded not guilty to being in possession of the 23 rolls of bang. They are scheduled to appear in court again on 24th October. They were released on a bond of 150,000 Kenya shillings and a surety of the same amount. Carol Jerry for KTN at the Nyeri law courts.
From Nyeri to KIBERA, where Lands and Urban Development Cabinet Secretary Charity Ngilu has defended the disbursement of title deeds to the Nubian community in Nairobi's KIBERA area. Now, speaking in KIBERA, Ngilu said that the Nubian community actually rightfully owns the land, which she says was granted to them in the colonial regime when the community, of course, settled in Kenya. She also added that the land initially covered an area of about 4,100 acres, but over the years, different individuals and institutions have acquired ownership of portions of the land, and now it only covers 2,088 acres. She also said that her ministry will give title deeds to institutions within KIBERA, including the KIBERA Mosque, Marikiti Market, a cemetery, and the ACK Church, and of course KIBERA Primary School.
Hiyo ardhi land ilikuwa 4,100. Sasa kuangalia nimekuta title deeds zimepeanwa kwa watu wenyewe na si wale wanakaa hapa. Nikiuliza ni wangapi wako na title deeds hapa, nitakuta hakuna. Ndio niliwaita viongozi na nikasema sasa ile kidogo inabaki from 4,100 acres. Acres zile zinabaki ni 288.
We'll stay with matters of land. In months after the discovery of oil and water in the country, communities living in the semi-arid areas have raised the red flag over the mass land grabbing in those areas. The communities are pointing fingers at individuals who have major interest in the resources.
Residents of Turkana were delighted when the discovery of oil and water in the region was announced. For many years, the harsh and semi-arid conditions had greatly hampered their survival. Between the years 2008 to 2011, the area encountered 4 consecutive droughts, which was seen as the most severe. First, it was the discovery of 368 million barrels of oil by Tano Oil Company. Then, it was the 207 billion cubic meters of water which could sustain Kenya for the next 17 years.
Ni maajabu since independent. Ni maajabu siku ya leo maji yanapatikana mahali kama hapa Gitikipi.
The residents now have a third discovery. Their richly found resources are being targeted by persons they describe as individuals with personal interests. These emerged during the annual Arid and Semi-Arid Lands Forum, where the communities demanded their rightful share of the recently found resources.
The growing potential, the growing realization of the potential in the SRs, with the finding of oil, the finding of water, the government's concentration on irrigation, which is all contributes to massive potential, but what we really need to remember is that potential going to benefit the lives of the people that live in those areas?
Ironically, many of the residents of Taita Taveta who have moved to urban areas are now being asked to go back to develop their land. Apparently, development in the area has been slowed down by fear of being bewitched by witch doctors who are openly advertising their services. Ian Ofula, KTN.
Residents of Kaptagat in Elgeyo Marakwet County held a demonstration to protest what they termed as efforts by the Kenya Forest Service to deny them their right to benefit from the Mau forests. Now, the residents claim Kenya Forest Service, which mans the forest, has been giving outsiders opportunities to cut trees for sale from the forest instead of allowing the residents who are key stakeholders in conserving and protecting the forest. Now, the locals say they will bar any outsider from using their routes to ferry the logs if the Kenya Forest Services do not allow locals to benefit from the forest as well.
Kenya Reinsurance Corporation, in partnership with the Association of Persons with Disability, today flagged off the second caravan of the NIKO FITI campaign to distribute assistive devices to persons with disability. Addressing the public during the flag-off ceremony, Kenya Re Managing Director Jadia Morania says the initiative aims to empower the less privileged in all counties. The caravan will tour Rift Valley, Western, Nyanza regions and distribute 142 assistive devices to persons with disability. The chairman of the Association of Persons with Disability, Dr. Mudi Awori, hailed the partnership and expressed appreciation for the support offered by Kenya Re and positive publicity by the Standard Group.
This is a national campaign. When we started with this CSR, it was out of looking at very many options that we could have got into, and we decided to settle for disability, or assisting the disability. And at first we basically focused on Nairobi. We decided it would be a 3-year campaign, and now what we have actually done is to expand it to include the entire nation. We, as you will notice from the caravans that we've done, we've structured them such that they cover what we say are the former 8 provinces of the country.
My presence here is simply to underscore the importance of the work that is being done by a partnership headed by Kenya Re and supported by Standard Group in offering assistive devices for our people living with the disabilities.
Now, LAMU County officials set to partner with the Standard Group in order to bring to the fore the county as a tourism destination. The county's Tourism Investment and Environment Minister Samia Omar said the tourism sector played a key role in the economy of the county and that there was need for media support. Now, the Standard Group Limited Commercial Director Irene Kimani and Group Chief Editor John Bundotich said that tourism played a key role in the country's economy as well, and also assured the county officials that the Standard Group would support them. They also asked the county officials to take advantage of the Standard Group's flagship products like Travel Diary that airs on KTN, together of course with the Standard newspaper, which they said had already provided exposure to an exposure platform. The Standard Group officials are touring various counties in Coast Province and are today expected to visit Kilifi County before proceeding to Kwale and Taita Taveta counties.
How long were in LAMU? So how can we, take advantage of the audience? Because we primarily serve the Kenyan audience. How can we primarily, sell it as a destination to the local market?
Let's talk about health matters now. The World Health Organization has received medical kits worth 2.5 million shillings for the treatment of victims of the Westgate attack. The kits will be supplied to various hospitals in the city. The kits were donated by the Russian government and contain several medical supplies for treatment of trauma.
I wanted to ask some remarks from the
handed where this box is located so that we can be able to pick individual.
You train your cameras from here.
Kits contains standardized, pre-packaged and WHO pre-qualified supplies that can be deployed at a very short notice. The trauma kits being donated today are designed for 100 people plus affected by trauma, and these kits will add on the existing supplies in the main referral hospitals.
Take a short commercial break. We keep doing this today. I think you're hungry, Tunya.
Totally. It's way past
All
my
right,
lunchtime.
well, let's take a short commercial break, and before we go off to lunch, we will come back with more news, including the name on everyone's lips right now in terms of athletics, Wilson Kipsang.
Also, Kenya's GDP performance on quarter 2 going up 4.3%. We have the details.